Welcome to this Grandma's Life podcast. I'm your host, theciaellis. Get ready to laugh, learn, and grow with me as we explore growing old in an ever-changing world. One of the good things about growing old is people judge you less when you sometimes say outrageous things. I'm getting older, and I've had a fascinating life. I also have opinions. You may not agree with those opinions, and I may not care. Even now, I am passionate about many things. I love to learn. I love quotes, and I care about my country. Join me as we explore loving life even as we age. This is November 10, 2025, and this is episode 87, The Art of Communication. In this episode, I want to discuss with you in so many ways how we have butchered the way we speak. But first, I want to tell you what's been going on. And one of them is, I don't hope this isn't too choppy. I do have internet tonight. I have not had internet for several days. It's been very stressful. I've been trying to get things done at my job whenever I'm doing between things. And I've been running over to the fellowship hall at the church. Those guys at the church have been so good to me on so many ways. And it's just not unusual for them to walk into the fellowship hall because it's one of those things that everybody walks in and out of to find me over there working or watching a video or doing something over there. And I finally got home. Well, my pastor sent me a message today saying that that they think that they had gotten I guess there was a poll that they were working on or something. And we're talking about the internet had been diminishing for probably a month now. And I finally just had none. And even this afternoon when I came home from work, I still didn't have it. And then I had gone over to fellowship hall and I came back and I looked down and it was showing it that I had internet on my phone. So I'm going, woohoo. And sure enough, I do have it on the computer. It's not quite good, but oh my gosh, guys, it's hard to do research, and do all the stuff that I love to do without the internet. And it's been difficult. I've been trying. I'm literally wearing a path between here and the fellowship hall, but we got it done. I'm happy. I'm very grateful, even if I do have to pause every once in a while and let it catch up. We've had all the weather since I talked to you last. We had our first freeze several nights ago, and oh my gosh, it wasn't just cold, it was windy, and our wind chill was like 22-degree wind chill. Now, last night and tonight it's going to get below freezing too, and it's been cold all day long, but there was a nice warm up between then. But boy, we had our first freeze a few nights ago, and I'm not looking forward to winter. And I shouldn't complain because I'm not even on the farm, so it's not like I have to go out and take care of animals or anything like that. But I just like the sun. I like warm weather. I had another court date in October. I think it was the 20th, and I have another continuance, and we go back to court, I believe, December 8th. So there's a lot of other things going on with that at the same time, so that may change too. But yeah, life continues to be in limbo. My friend Diana, the one that I take the trips with and stuff, she's such a good sport. I was ready to go to another trip and to get some footage and get some stuff done. And I had wanted to go to Arrowhead State Park, and it was just rain. It was going to be like, I don't know, well, there were several inches of rain that's going to be falling during those 2 days that I was thinking about going, that 2-day period I was going to go down there. So I decided, no, let's not do that. And I said, well, let's go to Oklahoma City. She goes, okay. Well, the morning that we were supposed to leave, that Friday morning, I went to go pick her up, and I said, are you okay if we don't go to Oklahoma City? She goes, yeah, actually I am. I don't want to go to Oklahoma City. So we ended up going to Mansfield, Missouri, to Laura Ingalls Wilder's place. And I loved it. The video I'm going to put out is absolutely not going to do justice to how beautiful and wonderful it was to me, because you're not allowed to take videos. You have to do pictures, and then you can't use flash and stuff. So, but it still, a lot of, particularly us women that are in that were or have been or are in the homesteading thing, have been influenced by all the Laura Ingalls Wilder's books, Little House in the Big Woods, Little House on the Prairie, all of those, where, that is just kind of a thing. My first grade teacher, Mrs. Moses, read to us Little House in the Big Woods. That tells you how long it is. And I was giddy with excitement, and you know what? It didn't disappoint. I was so glad to be there. But it did rain. When we were up on the highway, there have been times that it was raining for serious. We don't. Our church wants to provide something for the kids for when the Halloween thing comes around. So we have what we call a fall festival, and kids can dress up in their costumes and stuff. We ask them not to do anything that was like devilish or anything, but they can dress up in their costumes, and it is a ball. I think I've talked to you about probably last year. I love doing the fall festival. It's exhausting, but it's a lot of fun. They have a lot of games that they set up each year. There's like one of those little bowling ball games. There's where you can throw a football and get into a thing. And one lady was actually doing pictures with a beautiful background on it. And I got some pictures of Ivy, my grandbaby, and her parents too, out of that. But there's just games everywhere, ring toss, all of this stuff. And every time, even whether they miss it or they get candy. And so I just love it. I always volunteer for the stuff where there's action. So I enjoy it. I have a good time. And we had the fall festival again this year, and I had a good time. I did. Oh, and then a few nights before, after that, we had a Zumba class, and I'm not good at dancing, but I like to wiggle and I like to have a good time. And it is a form of exercise. And our Zumba teacher actually had a special one that was later in the evening now. And it started at 7:30, which is great. But by the time you get done at 8:30 and almost 9 o'clock, it's like, well, I'm getting ready to go to bed at that time. But I had a ball. I didn't have anything necessarily that stuck out, but she had black lights and she had prizes and all kinds of stuff there. And we did Zumba, and it was so cool. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I even won a free month of a gym membership out of it, so I couldn't beat that. I have been going up to Kansas every once in a while whenever I can to go visit Kenzie. I love seeing her. I don't love watching her do cheerleading. It just scares the crap out of me. But that's what her scholarship is in, and so I go and watch her and I take videos. I haven't gotten any of them processed yet. I'm just so far behind. It feels like I'm just going to stay behind. I don't know. All I can do is just keep on plugging and keep at it. But I think she's had a couple of things that make her a little bit disillusioned, and she's had a job offer near Houston. And I'm going, Houston? Oh my God. She goes, it's not in Houston, Grandma. I'm going, I know, but that's a long way away. We're in Northeast Oklahoma and Houston, and she's only 19, and I consider her my baby. And I don't know if she's going to take her or not. I did in the long run. I told her that wherever she goes, whatever she does, particularly to make sure she makes enough money in that job to actually be able to afford to live there. Will the salary cover her rent and all that other stuff? I want her to explore and go and do things, but I want her to be able to live at least relatively comfortably with that too. She's very good at what she does and almost everything she does. And I know that sounds like her grandma and stuff, but she does have some particular characteristics that she's a hard worker. She's got a good head on her shoulders. She's polite. Just different things that make her honestly a good employee, a good person to have working for you, and very diligent, always shows up to work. She every once in a while, just like everybody else, she gets sick, but you know what I mean? She's just good at what she does. And I want the best for her. But I did tell her, even if she goes to Houston or wherever she goes, as long as I live, I'm only a phone call away, because I just love her so much. Okay, and yay, I have internet. I'm serious. I have been so stoked all evening to have internet again. What I'm listening to Good Energy by Casey Means, MD, and Callie Means, and it was written in 2024. I've just kind of gotten started on that one. That's been an interesting thing so far. She talks about if you think about it, if you have arthritis, if you have cellulitis, if you have anything, all of it is an itis, and it's an inflammation. And she's discussing about all the things that cause inflammation and how all of that leads to and how our diet and everything leads to, type 2 diabetes, dementia, Alzheimer's, heart disease, all of this stuff, because we're eating so much crap anymore. And so I'm learning from that. I definitely am looking forward. I mean, I'm nowhere near the end of it, but I will definitely listen to it again so I can catch whatever information I didn't catch the first time. I'm also listening to Odd Hours by Dean Koontz, and it was written in 2009. And I moved on to the next Odd Thomas books. And I can't remember his name, the guy who does the narration for it. He's wonderful. I love listening to his voice. I love how he does the inflections of the different character he does and stuff. And so I enjoy listening to the Odd Thomas books. But I'm actually reading, I'm still working on the Middle Ages by Morris Bishop. I'm maybe halfway through, so I'm going to be at that for a while. And I've also moved on to The Crooked Staircase by Dean Koontz. I believe this is the third in the series for the Jane Hawk series. And it's been, after I understood what the first book was about and stuff, I'm going, okay, I can handle this. We'll be doing pretty good with it. And it was written in 2018. So I'm in the middle of The Crooked Staircase. My quote of the week is, knowing is not enough. We must apply. Wishing is not enough. We must do. And that's by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. We've all heard of him, but I was trying to do some research on him, and I don't know, he was kind of interesting. Okay, so he was a German polymath, and he was born August 28, 1749. He was a writer, a poet, a playwright. He was known for writing Faust and Sorrows of Youth Werther. But he was also a scientist. He did botany, and he did something with the competing color theory. I can't remember who he was going against with that. He was also the Duke. I'm going to pronounce some of the stuff wrong, and I'm sorry, but he was a Duke of Saxe-Weimar for a while. And I was trying to find out a little bit about his personal life, and apparently he just had wives and girlfriends and lots of kids. He had several wives and several girlfriends and bore several children for him. And I had trouble keeping them straight because, you go to one source and it would talk about his wives and how many children he had with them. But then I went to another site and they didn't even mention the wives. All they mentioned was the girlfriends and all the kids they had. So yeah, he got around. All right, now we're on to the main subject, the art of communication. And reason I first started out with this because I enjoy listening to podcasts. I really do enjoy listening to podcasts. And I find it's funny because this part I'm going to talk about right now, we all have a little bit of this habit, but oh my goodness, there was listening to a podcast, and most of the time he reads stuff. So he doesn't have a lot of issues with what he's saying. But then on the weekends, he does like interviews. On this particular podcast, he does interviews with very highly intelligent people who know their job. Know what they're talking about, know what's going on and everything. But they go, it's just, you go, and even the guy who does the podcast, because he's not on script, he's just talking, he's going, and there might be 4 or 5 uhs per sentence per person. And after a while you go, oh guys, spit it out. So that's kind of one of the things that's kind of what started me going down this rabbit trail is how much we fill in. That's not even a word. If you think about it, it's not even a word. It's just a noise that we as a society now make to fill in until we come up with the next right word, I guess. I don't know. So I got to thinking about in the art of communication. And, as I think about it, it's kind of an art. English obviously is a difficult language to learn, particularly if it's not your native language. And I got to looking at slang. Oh my gosh, guys. So I really enjoyed looking this stuff up. So I thought, okay, slang for the 50s. Cool cat, cruising for a bruising, daddy-o, cruising for a bruising. I have to admit, Mom, when we were kids and we were not acting right, she would go, you guys are cruising for a bruising, So that is one of the slang things I remember. And in the 60s, there's some of their slang words was groovy, far out, cool, fuzz. So that was fuzz, obviously far out and all then that's like for cool things, and then fuzz was for police. Bummer, we still use bummer, and bread was for money. In the 70s, they apparently had a lot of the same ones that they used for the 60s, but they had the skinny. That means that I had the skinny. I'm going to be able to tell you what happened on that. They know what happened. Take a chill pill was in the 70s. It's telling you to calm down. To the max, taking everything to the maximum. The 80s was, and you can hear train, sorry, gnarly, bodacious, rad, tubular, gag me with a spoon. Do you remember? I don't know. Maybe some of you guys are old enough to remember the Valley Girls of California. They would say, gag me with a spoon, And airhead, that's kind of when that kind of happened. 90s was a da bomb and as if, talk to the hand, means like, I ain't listening. I got other things to do. Chillax, calm down. My bad. I made a mistake. We still use my bad if you think about it. Bling for jewelry. Fly, fresh. So some of that in the OOs. I don't know how you say it. Faux shizzle. Do we not know who does faux shizzle? Crunk. Now, I wasn't familiar with crunk. Now, I have to admit, by the time I get into the 2000s, there's a lot of the words I don't recognize and know. So crunk. Apparently, it says it's a type of music, and it was also a state of excitement. So, okay. Fat, PHAT, that's good. And what's up? Do you remember the old commercials? What's up? I think it was for Bud Light. I can't remember what it was for. The tens was lit, which means it's cool or exciting. See, I had to put these in here so I can remember to tell you about them. Fleek. I don't know if I've never heard of fleek. On point, or it's perfectly styled, so like the hair was fleek or whatever, Shook. I remember shook, and we still say it was, shocked, surprised, or they go, I'm shook, man. I was shocked, surprised, or even scared. Savage. People, the one that's saying was savage, they were bold and ruthless or cool. The current is like so far beyond me. Riz means it's charming. Sus. Okay, suspicious. Bussin' is very good, especially food. Slay, if you slay something, you are succeeding spectacularly. No cap. That means you're not going to lie. It's honestly, so that's just a few of the slang that I had happened. And the reason I had done those also because as the art of communication, if you don't know what those means, you don't know what that person is saying. And if you do, then you're right in there with them. Texting. If you think about it now, Kinsey, she has always been very good to me on this because to me, I think the English language is I don't want to say sacred, but I honor I don't like to use a lot of slang. I do some slang. Don't get me wrong. I say dude or something every once in a while. But as a general rule, I'm not going to do shortcuts. I want the English language so you know exactly what I'm saying, why I'm saying it, and how it's being said. But if you think about it, texting, and I only went just a few of those little ones, that LOL, laugh out loud, BRB, be right back, IDK, I don't know, OMG, oh my goodness, SMH, I wasn't familiar with that one. That's shaking my head. IMO, in my opinion. And if you don't know those, you don't know what they mean or something. And so, but Kinsey, like I said, she's always been good to me. She may shorten things a little bit, but she did not use a lot of abbreviation. She tried to use punctuation and stuff for me because she's a good kid. Punctuation is my next one. Guys, I will get on Facebook or something, and I don't know, there's no punctuation at all. And it's just like a whole paragraph is. I think I lost you for a moment. Okay. A whole paragraph is with nothing in it. It's just one long run-on sentence. That just makes me crazy. And I've tried to call people out and what makes me even more crazy, I'll call somebody out. I try not to be too rude or anything, but I'll say something like, please use punctuation so we know what you're saying. And I think every time I've actually said that, they go, oh, I didn't care. I didn't do anything in English. It meant nothing to me, so I'm not going to do it. Guys, don't prove that all 13 years you were in school was a waste of time. Use punctuation and remember that you're communicating with people. And if you're just spewing stuff out there and not really caring whether they understand you or not, what's the point? Why are you doing that in the first place? Use, if nothing else, minimal punctuation, but I don't know, just think about what you're doing. And if you're going to put something on there, and don't you want to be understood or what? I don't know. That is definitely something that bothers me anyway. Technical terms. Now, we all use some technical terms and stuff, but there are times, like, especially when you go to the doctor and they start using medical terms, you're going, I don't know what that means, And then when you got your IT guy, he starts spewing stuff. You go, what's wrong with my computer? And he starts spouting stuff too. He may know what you're doing, what he's doing, or he may be, some of them might be just trying to blow smoke. But as in general, those people who are very educated in what they do have a tendency to use technical terms and forgetting that a lot of times when they're just talking to the regular people have no clue what they're talking about. And, know the technical terms and be able to use them, but also understand who your audience is and not dumb it down, but just understand that they haven't had the education in that particular thing that you're talking about. And you might need to make it in their language so they're understanding. So my whole point is communication is a two-way street. If the person that you're speaking to or writing to does not understand what you're trying to convey, then there's no communication. You're just putting information out there, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. You're just putting it out there. But if nobody understands you, that's not communication. That's just you doing stuff. If you're not going to make the effort to make sure that the other person has understood your communication, or you don't care whether they understand or not, you're being very inconsiderate, okay, and creating a significant chance of being misunderstood. We all know that when you text stuff, because you can't see, you don't know the voice inflection, you don't know what's going on and stuff, then you get like the old people who put everything in all caps and you're thinking, are they yelling? Do they not understand that they're yelling in text? But it can cause a whole lot of problems because you didn't do what you needed to do to make yourself understood clearly. If you're using technical terms, if you're not using punctuation, if you're just, if you're not doing what it takes to be understood, then you are opening yourself up to be misunderstood. And it probably could have been prevented. So actually what was kind of interesting is what started out as kind of I put rant, but that's not the word. I'm trying to do communication. I am stumbling right now. Rant. That's the word I wanted. I did put out ramp. I'm thinking that's not what I want. Okay. What it started out being a rant was kind of fun. I really enjoyed looking up the different slangs and stuff and learned a lot from it. So it kind of turned into a trip down memory lane or linguistic memory lane. And I got to even think, should I go back further? Because I know back in the 20s, 100 years ago, they had slang and stuff. I'm sure they've had slang all throughout history, but I just did the part, the 50s. I wasn't familiar with the 50s. I'm not that old, but it's kind of interesting how a lot of language has the slang that you can go back and have a kind of a go down memory lane with it. All right. My question of the day is, what ways do you use to make sure others understand what you're communicating, regardless of age or expertise? I'd like to know. Give me an email at theciaellis@gmail.com, theciaellis@gmail.com. All right. I want to encourage you to get a fold card. Now, I've talked to you about this before. This is really cool. I like my fold card. It is a prepaid debit card. That's all it is. Okay. Well, okay. That's not true either. It's a prepaid debit card, but it also, when you use it, it helps you collect or save Satoshis. You get awarded a certain amount of Satoshis and it builds up over time, which is a form of it is like many pieces of MINI pieces of Bitcoin. And it's a way for you to accumulate cryptocurrency without actually investing money on the side of it. You're using it. You can use it to pay your bills, and they have different programs in there, like for different specific places you want to. You get a higher percentage of cryptocurrency on that, and it just a build up. So it's kind of like an investment, but you're investing by buying things that you would normally do anyway. So you put whatever was that you want, you put the money, the cash part of it onto the fold card, and then use it. And then you start at the way to develop or build your cryptocurrency. I like it. Use my link below. I would appreciate it. I would like to be able to get a little bit of credit for it. Also, I'd like to ask for you for a 5-star review. Let me know how you feel about what I'm putting on here. Where I can be found is one of the things I'm doing. I'm still doing Kinsey Lackey Sports, her YouTube channel. I was doing softball for her for a long time, and I still am putting out some softball. I would still like to see her get onto a softball team somewhere, not cheerleading and everything, but I am going to be putting out some cheerleading stuff. And I did the Kinsey Lackey Sports for 2 reasons. I wanted her to be able to hopefully get into college because she was talented in softball, but through as a softball scholarship. But we didn't know what we were doing. We got started too late in her career and stuff, so that didn't pan out for that part of it. But at the same time, if you think about it, usually there's somebody in your family that has particular talents, and they really couldn't prove it because there was no footage of it or anything. And I wanted Kinsey to be able to go back years down the road and show her children and grandchildren that she really did play softball. She really did play basketball. She really did do cheerleading. And I don't know. It was just, so this has been a labor of love. And check it out. It's fine. I enjoy doing it. All right. That's all I got for you today. I pray that we start thinking about what we say and how we say it, and start thinking that, or remembering that our communication is a 2-way street. You don't just spit it out there. You have to make sure that you are understood too. All right, guys, that's all I got. God bless. I'll see you next time.